Hey guys, this is Madalyn Frobel, and this is my presentation on the Yeti. So I'm pretty sure most of you probably know what a Yeti is, but in case you didn't, the Yeti, or the abominable snowman as it's sometimes called, is an ape-like cryptid with either white fur or brown fur said to inhabit the Himalayan region of Nepal and Tibet. So the first Yeti appeared as a well-known figure in the myths, legends, folklore, and folk tales of several communities living in the Himalayas. Two of the communities I looked at were the Lepcha and the Sherpa people. In Lepcha folklore, their glacier spirit is an ape-like creature that is the god of hunting and the lord of all forest beasts. And in Sherpa folklore, the Yeti is always a figure of danger, because, folk tales are made to provide motivational or mortality lessons. So in this case, they are a warning to the Sherpa community about approaching dangerous wild animals and to always stay close to home and not to wander off. Now, there's a lot of confusion due to the numerous names that have become associated with the Yeti legend. There are multiple names not only among languages and cultures, but also within each language. A lot of these terms refer to the legendary and indigenous wildlife said to be found in the mountains. The rest of the slide has some words and their meanings and the pronunciations. I would try to read them, but I would probably butcher them. So if you're interested, you can pause here and read that. I will say, though, that the term Yeti is actually the mispronunciation of the Sherpa name for the creature. Okay, so the first sighting by a Westerner was in 1832 by Brian Hodgkin along with his guides. They believed they spotted a tall and hairy bipedal beast. A couple of years later, there was the first reports of Yeti footprints in 1889 by Lawrence A. Waddell. Into the 20th century, there became a frequency of reports of the Yeti by Westerners climbing the mountain. These involved supposed sightings and footprints. In 1925, a man called Tumbazi says he saw the Yeti, and once it left the place that he saw it, he examined the footprints. He describes them as similar in shape to those of a man, but only 6 to 7 inches long by 4 inches wide at the broadest part of the foot. These prints were undoubtedly of a biped. The most famous piece of evidence is the Shipton footprints. They were found by the Mount Everest Reconnaissance Expedition of 1951, led by Eric Shipton. The goal of this mission was to scout a route to the summit of Mount Everest. To do this, they split into 3 parties. Shipton's party included him, Michael Ward, and San Tenzing. Here they crossed a glacier at 18,000 feet and found the footprints. This was also the first time anyone even took photos of the prints, which are shown on the left side. Next is the Yeti scalp. So through 1960 to 1961, the World Book Encyclopedia financed an expedition to study high-altitude effects on climbers and other aspects of mountaineering, meteorology, and glaciology. The leader of this expedition was Edmund Hillary, who was actually one of the 2 to reach the top of Mount Everest. The other guy was Tenzing Norgay. So Hillary had, the job of, seeing the high altitude effects, the other aspects I mentioned, but he also wanted to document or debunk this, story of the Yeti. One of the rumors he heard of was of a scalp located in a village called Kunjung. It was the property of an elderly woman who kept it safe and believed it brought good luck to the village. He asked if he could take it to get it examined, but she at first refused. Thankfully, they came to an agreement, which was he agreed to donate to the local monastery and school, and to take a local man with him so he could watch over the scalp, make sure it stays safe. And he was allowed to take it, and it was examined in London. The next piece of evidence is the Yeti finger. This is a finger claimed to be from a Yeti and is believed to either have been brought or stolen from a monastery in Nepal. Its story is a little confusing. It's a little weird too, but the most popular story is that it was taken by Bigfoot researcher Peter Byrne and supposedly smuggled out of the country by famous actor Jimmy Stewart. And the way they did this was at the border he gave it to Jimmy Stewart, and they hid it in his wife's suitcase in her undergarments. It was, until recently, it was impossible to know for certain what kind of animal it belonged to. So the truth about all these pieces of evidence I've mentioned is debunked here. So the figures that were most likely seen by these climbers and explorers were the bears that live in the region. The bears were probably the Himalayan brown bears. When you think about it, bears and Yetis are pretty similar. You know, they're living in the same areas. They act like Yetis, you know. They kill yaks, sheep, and in some cases humans. It is possible. And I mean, if you look at that picture, they even look similar, so it's probably the case. The footprints they were finding are also probably of the bear. The bear prints would stick, but you know, after some melting, it would distort the paw print, making it somewhat, you know, elongated, maybe making it look like a human. So a lot of people have debunked that as animal prints, not some being's prints. DNA tests were also done on the skull, the scalp, and the hand. The scalp turned out to be a hide of a local antelope or goat and was molded into a skull-like shape. And the results of the hand showed that it was human, and they believe that it was probably from a corpse of a monk in the monastery that it was found. So despite the evidence proving that it's not real, it hasn't stopped it from being, you know, hugely popular in movies, TV, books, all that stuff. It has its own cup brand named after it, you know, the Yeti thermal cups and coolers. And it also has its own ride at both Disney World and Disneyland. Follows the whole story of the Yeti and finding it. It's a lot of fun. But, yeah, he sometimes is a vicious, terrifying monster, and in other times he's a friendly dude that makes snow cones. So yeah, the Yeti's pretty cool. And that is my presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are staying safe, staying healthy, staying inside, and also washing your hands. So thanks guys, I hope you have a great day.